My next guest is a journalist that has covered the music industry for decades. He's also an author, podcaster, and television host. You can watch his show, Rap Latte, on YouTube and listen to The Tourè Show wherever you get your podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the one and only Tourè. What's up, big time? How are you, man?
Thank you, Stephen A. Thank you for that welcome. I appreciate that.
Man, first of all, it's good to see you, man. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna be straight up with you. I'm as ignorant as they come with this kind of stuff, Tourè. This is, I don't cover hip hop. I listen to hip hop music, but I don't cover it at all. How big of a deal is it in your mind that Drake is actually clearly entertaining filing a lawsuit with this what is it called? This pre-action petition. How big of a deal is it in your eyes?
You know, I find it bizarre and kind of a big deal that one of the biggest artists in the world wants to have a public conversation about whether or not payola was used against him, when certainly payola has been used to benefit him on multiple occasions, right? I mean, like, this is a case of where you accuse somebody of doing something because you know that's what you do, right? That's what I would do if I was him.
Right.
Every major song has a massive expenditure behind it. Nothing goes pop by accident and it's just an organic success that had no help. There are bots, there is payola, there's all sorts of ways that radio stations and streamers and other ways that we get music to consumers are influenced by music industry money. And we have dealt with payola in large ways throughout our history in the 50s and the 70s. Like, it's been a huge issue. It is something the music industry never wants us to talk about because it's unseemly. We don't want to think that somebody paid $1 million to make that song number one. We want to think that the fans fell in love with the song and it's a true representation of what the people want. This is not the case. And Drake is now saying that the company that he is a rainmaker for used its machine to help somebody else profit on his back, so like on his image, because the song predicated on dissing Drake, and it robs Drake of chances to get streams. So they pushed the song up, made it large, it became gigantic, and this was personally damaging to Drake's business. This is the most un-hip-hop way of responding to a beef ever, but this is where we are.
Well, all right, so this is where we are, and why do you think Drake is doing this? Is it because he's excessively and ultra embarrassed? Is it because he's using it as a negotiating ploy against the company that he works with or what have you? Or is it incentivized primarily in an effort to stop Kendrick Lamar from performing this song during halftime of the upcoming Super Bowl in February?
We had a big conversation about this on Rap Latte. My partner, my co-host, King Green, really thinks that this is part of him trying to renegotiate and perhaps even get out of the deal that he has with UMG. I don't know if that's even possible. I think we're really seeing more of an angry, egotistical, wealthy man not wanting to admit loss and would rather say to the people, there was a systemic reason why I lost. There was a machine that pumped up the song that made it gigantic. That's why I lost, because the machine, the record company machine, made Not Like Us so huge. I don't know if there's really any way that Drake could stop Kendrick from performing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. That's going to happen. But the song has already been one of, if not the biggest smash of the last 10 years, certainly within hip hop culture. The only thing I could think of close was N-Words in Paris that was this gigantic of a smash. But I think Not Like Us was bigger, which is unwittingly, Drake is all reminding us of how much we loved Not Like Us at its height. So you see all these TikToks where people are saying, well, I played the song 1 million times myself, so I can believe it got to 1 billion streams. It felt organic. It felt like it was everywhere. So, of course, we understand, we know why the record was big. We made it big.
I'm wondering, how do you feel this will affect Drake's credibility in the hip-hop industry? And how do you think it will affect him business-wise overall?
I think one of the things that we see as this situation overlaps to sports, we respect a graceful loser. You get knocked out, you get beat at home, whatever. You hold your head up and say, good job to the other team, and you walk off without tears. And we're like, we respect you. And maybe Stephen A will go on First Take and call you a dog, but you still respect him as a man because he dealt with the loss like a gentleman, right? Drake seemed to be dealing with the loss like a gentleman, right? And like taking it on the chin. And he lost big battles before and kept it moving. And the feeling was like, wow, Drake is so big that he can lose a battle. This makes him seem like the whiniest crybaby, Richie Rich went off and deployed his money to try to get back at you. And it really does say, I'm not like you. I am not hip hop. I did something in response to losing a battle that no rapper would ever do. I felt like he's going to survive not like us. He's going to survive, a billion people screaming A minor all summer long. But this brings it to a different place where I think a lot of people have to start to be like, do I really like the guy? And like for some people, they want to like the person, right? And what we're talking about with Drake is not being part of the hip hop culture, right? That was really Kendrick's main thing. And this is pushing that notion. If you don't like the guy, because you're like, he's a whiny crybaby and he handled it like a loser when he lost, that sours you on the records. Because his vibe, who you think he is as a person, is critical to your relationship with him, your parasocial relationship with him as a listener. You gotta like him. If you don't like Drake, if you think he's corny, the music doesn't work. It doesn't matter how slick the raps are, how good the beat is. If I think he's corny, I'm not gonna be able to rock with him. And this is like taking a big stamp and like, boom, boom, I am corny. Like, what are we doing here?
But listen, read it from the article, man. Here's one thing. He said, I want to read these two paragraphs to you. They say, in one particularly eye-catching claim, the petition claims that UMG paid Apple to have its voice assistant feature Siri purposely misdirect users to Kendrick's song. Online sources reported that when users asked Siri to play the album Certified Lover Boy by Drake, Siri instead played Not Like Us, which contains the lyric Certified Pedophile, an allegation against Drake. This is what the rapper's lawyer said. What I'm asking
Not
you
Like
is
Us
this.
also contains the line Certified Lover Boy, right? So
That's right.
That line's in there too.
But here's what I'm asking you. Do you believe that's the primary motivation for Drake going to this point, to stop that from circulating out there any more than it already has because he was accused of being a pedophile?
I don't know if that Siri thing happened, but if it did, or any sort of manipulation, as I said, has surely been deployed on behalf of Drake multiple times throughout his career. So, whatever Kendrick has benefited from this situation, Drake has benefited from it many, many, many times. I mean, like, this would be like the Yankees crying about the Dodgers having bigger pockets. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have been the big pocket in baseball for 40 years. Like, what are we talking about right now? I mean, it's very Trumpian in that when Trump lost in 2020, he was like, it's the numbers, it's the counters, it's the machines, it's the da-da-da. And that's what Drake is. He lost, and he's like, oh, they miscounted on the machines. That's what really happened here. Like,
well,
no, dude.
Tourè, what do you think about this? Because when you think about UMG, right? I got some notes in front of me according to a Business Insider article from 2016. These are the top 10 biggest record deals of all time, ranked before Drake's $400 million deal. This is before Drake's $400 million deal in 2022. Michael Jackson at $250 million in 2010. U2 at $200 million in 1993. Lil Wayne at $150 million in 2012. Jay-Z at $150 million in 2008. Bruce Springsteen at $150 million in 2005. Adele at $130 million in 2016. Robbie Williams at $125 million in 2002. Madonna at $120 million in 2012. Whitney Houston at $100 million in 2001. 21 and Prince at $100 million in 1992. When you consider Drake's $400 million Universal deal, which was reported as being one of the biggest deals, if not the biggest deal in music history, is it possible that UMG and others may be guilty of what he is asserting, and because of the money he gets from them and the money he was in line to get from them, that indeed it was a negotiating ploy on their part, which forced Drake's hand? Is that a sensible argument for Drake to try and make?
I really don't know. I really don't know. You have gone beyond my understanding of the legal parameters of all this to be able to assess something like that. I think part of what we see with Drake's deal is two things. One thing is inflation, right? It's a different time. But also, there are fewer superstars in the music world than there have been in the past. So somebody like Drake is even more valuable to a UMG than he would have been 10 or 20 years ago. There are fewer people who can move gigantic units, and he's basically taking care of the company, right? He is the big rainmaker. I mean, like, they aren't going broke on the salary. So if they're paying Drake $500 million, how much are they profiting off of Drake, right? Like, it's got to be a multiple above that. And everybody in the music business gets fleeced. Nobody, because this is how an artist told me this. This is how you get paid in the music business. It's like your boss gets your check. You don't get to see it. Your boss tells you this is what you made and then pays you out of that, because you could never, ever see the actual accounting from the actual numbers. Like, that would never, ever happen. So you never really know. One famous artist told me once, the label owes me between $5 and $10 million. And I'm like, wait a minute. That is a gigantic range between owe me 5 or 10. Like, those are two entirely different conversations.
Yeah. Last couple of questions, because I got to get out of here. And I thank you so much for your time, Tourè. How does this all make Kendrick Lamar look at this particular moment in time? And do you feel there's no way on earth that he cannot perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl after this?
Of course he's going to perform Not Like Us. It is the biggest song of the year. It's the biggest song he's ever had. You know, they might do it 3 or 4 times in a row like they did at the Pop Out. I think Kendrick thinks this is hysterical. He's got an album that's fresh out. The album is hot to death. Hip hop heads are like, this album is incredible. We're grinding on this album. We're doing the knowledge on this album, because when Kendrick drops a project, you got to like dive deep and pull out the dictionary and Google and try to figure all these things to see like what he's doing. And like, you got to have like a literature degree. So we're doing all that knowledge on Kendrick. Well, Drake is doing this. He's at a courthouse filing a suit. What are you doing, buddy? He could not have played this worse. It's giving, I'd like to speak to the manager. It's giving, I'm going to snitch on the corporation. I'm going to call HR on Kendrick. Like, it's just the corniest move ever in the history of battling.
And what kind of consequences do you think Drake will pay for this? Last question. What kind of consequences do you think he'll incur for this in the hip hop community, from the hip hop community directly?
I don't think you see it like right away. Like, it doesn't happen like a lightning bolt, but it just erodes the fan base. It erodes the fan base, and more like, like a rock on the ocean. Like, it just erodes more and more over time. A famous rapper once said to me, you don't retire from hip hop, the audience retires you. And I imagine at some point it'll be like, there just isn't the energy in the air for Drake anymore. He's still a big artist. He's going to drop an album probably some point next year. It'll go platinum. He'll still be able to tour. But, it just starts to shrink a little bit. Like, you get the core fan base, but not other people, because they're like, yo, this man is corny.
Yeah, it was weak. Tourè, appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to hop on with me at the last moment notice, man. I really appreciate it. You take care, all right?
Thank you. Peace.
All right. The one and only Tourè right here with Stephen A. Remember to check out Rap Latte on YouTube and The Tourè Show wherever you get your podcast.